been merciful to us. So let us always find the time to give him the glory and honor to speak to his holy name, because truly our God is a consuming fire. Last week we did the New World Order and got all of that set up, and we came down through the sixth seal. And what we're going to do this week is I'd like to pick that up at the fifth seal this week, and come down. And what we're going to do is we're going to go up to the coming of the Lord and see if what we read is true, or what the nations are telling their people in church is true. But Brother Steve, read the oracles of the church and invite him who stands at the door that he may come in. Shut up, Doc. Read the oracles, my brother, and invite him who stands at the door that he may come in and sup with us and us with him, that we may continue to read out of this great legacy and see what Yahweh had to say to the churches.
I'm going to read the oracles of the church beginning at 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins.
Amen.
Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man have received a gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim giveth, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yeshua, the Anointed One, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen.
Amen.
Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, by whom you are sealed unto the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for the Anointed One's sake have forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim as dear children, and walk in love, as the Anointed One also have loved us, and have given himself for us an offering and a sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as become a saint. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks.
Amen.
Amen. Revelation chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him, and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcometh will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I also overcame, and am set down with my Father in his throne. He that have an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
Amen. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the church in Holy Convention. I'd like to start our class today in St. Matthew chapter 24. St. Matthew 24 and verse 25 through verse 36. St. Matthew 24 and verse 25 through verse 36. Let's see some of the things that Yeshua HaMashiach had to say pertaining to these last days. These latter days, rather. The last days is the millennial period. St. Matthew chapter 24, and let's pick that up, my brother, at verse 25.
Yes, sir. Verse 25. Behold, I have told you before. Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, Behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chamber. Believe it not.
Right, because there's going to be someone here that's going to be claiming to be the Messiah. Okay, go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Matthew chapter 24, verse 27. For as the lightning cometh out of the east, and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
Now remember, the apostles had asked the Messiah, say, when should all these things that you've been telling us come up on the earth, and what should be the sign of your coming and of the end of the world? Right? Okay. So he gave him the sign. He says, for as lightning come out of the east and shine to the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Right? Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Matthew chapter 24, verse 28. For wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken.
Now, when you said the stars are going to fall from heaven, now we know that most of the stars, all of the stars are bigger than the earth. So we know that he's not talking about a star falling to the earth. He's talking about the angels of God coming down to the earth, right? Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 30. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other.
Now, that elect was that 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel that was sealed, right? So he's going to gather them from the... Remember, Paul said, glory and honor to the Jew first. So they'll be gathered first, right? Go ahead, brother.
Verse 32. Now learn a parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender and putteth forth leaves, you know that summer is near.
Mm-hmm.
So likewise you, when you shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the door. Yes, I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only.
But of that day and hour knoweth no man. But we know the time of the year it's going to be when the Messiah shows up on the scene. We don't know the day or the hour, but we know the time of the year that your brother will return back to the earth. Now let's go into Daniel 9, and I want you to read verse 24 through verse 27. Let's read some things that's going to be taking place, and we're going to pick that up when we go into Revelation. Daniel 9 and verse 24 through verse 27. I'll tell you what you do, my brother. Why don't you pick that up at verse 23?
Yes, sir. Daniel chapter 9, verse 23. At the beginning of your supplications, the commandment came forth, and I am come to show you, for you are greatly beloved. Therefore, understand the matter and consider the vision. 70 weeks are determined upon your people and upon your holy city to finish the transgression.
Number one, to finish the transgression.
And to make an end of sin.
And to make an end of sin. Not just to put away sin for a time period, but to make an end of sin, right? Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. And to make reconciliation for iniquity.
Number three, to make reconciliation for iniquity.
And to bring in everlasting righteousness.
Number four, to bring in everlasting righteousness.
And to seal up division and prophecy.
And number five, to seal up division and prophecy.
And to anoint the most holy.
And he told him 6 things was going to happen in this 70 weeks. So we know that what he's referring to is 70 weeks of years, not just 70 weeks as we are. When you get back in earlier chapters of Daniel, you find out when the angel was talking, he let him know that 1 week was a year. Okay. 7 weeks. 1 week for 7 years. I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 25. Daniel chapter 9, verse 25. Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah the Prince shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. The street shall be built again, and the walls even in troublous times.
Now, if you want to find out, if you're interested in this and want to find out when the commandment came forth to rebuild Jerusalem, that was during the Babylonian captivity, go into Ezra chapter 7 and verse 1, and it should give you a book date from letters that has been found, that archaeologists have found, and you find out that that commandment went forth in 457 B.C. The commandment went forth, and that would put, if you count up your year, that would put the Messiah on the scene in the year of 26 A.D. Go ahead, and so all these brothers walking around here talking about their Messiahs, they got to be just about 2,000 years old, haven't you? Yeah, go ahead, brother. Yeah. Correct. You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. It's during the media of Persian Empire. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Go ahead and read.
Yes, sir. Daniel chapter 9, verse 26. And after 62 weeks shall the Messiah be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with a flood, and unto the end of the war desolations are determined. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week, and in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease, and for the overspreading of abominations he shall make it desolate, even unto the consummation, and that determined shall be poured upon the desolate.
Okay, so what do we see here? Now we see that a covenant was confirmed by this prince that shall come. A covenant was confirmed for 1 week, and that covenant was pertaining to the animal sacrifice. You can pick that up in Daniel 12th chapter. That covenant was concerning the animal sacrifice. So what happened was Esau began sacrificing in the 5th seal, and at the 6th seal, the sacrifice was stopped, and the beast is installed as Caesar. But let's go in the book of Revelation and pick that up in Revelation chapter 6. And we're going to pick that up at verse, let me get there first, brother. Revelation chapter 6, and pick that up at verse, Revelation chapter 6, and pick that up at verse 9. Pick it up at the 5th seal. This is the time that Esau is doing the sacrificing here.
Yes, sir. And when he had opened the 5th seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of Elohim and for the testimony which they held. And they cried with a loud voice, saying, How long, O Adonai, holy and true, do you not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth? And white robes were given unto every one of them, and it was said unto them that they should rest yet for a little season, until their fellow servants also and their brethren that should be killed as they were should be fulfilled. And I beheld when he had opened the 6th seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. And the stars of heaven fell into the earth, even as a fig tree cast her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind.
Okay, so there was war in heaven, and Satan gets thrown out of heaven, right? And once Satan gets thrown out of heaven, and there's a great earthquake, right? And the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. It was darkness all over the earth, and you can't tell the people that when the heavens roll back like a scroll, you can't tell the people that wasn't the Messiah getting ready to come. But we know what that is. That's Satan being thrown out of heaven, and the angels of God coming down to protect that remnant. Okay. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Revelation chapter 6, verse 14. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every slave, and every free man, hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, Fall on us, hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand?
You see what they said? Hide us from the face of the Lamb, right? Because the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand, right? The wrath of the Lamb does not come till after the seventh vial is poured out. Right? And we just in the sixth seal. So it couldn't have been the Messiah that was coming out of heaven. This is when Satan was thrown out of heaven, and now we got big problem because Revelation 12 tell you when the dragon saw that he was cast out, he went to make war with the remnant of the woman's seed that brought forth the man-child that was going to rule all nations. So when Satan gets thrown out of heaven, he goes to make war with who? The nation of Israel. He comes to make war with us, right? Okay. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Revelation chapter 7, verse 1. And after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living Elohim. And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels, to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, Don't hurt the earth, neither the sea nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our Elohim in their forehead.
Till we've sealed all of Elohim's servants in their forehead, right? And now everybody talking about Benny Hinn and all these Creflo Dollar and what them other folks' name are, Kenneth Copeland and Jimmy Swaggart and all them folks. Right. They were, yeah, that's another one. They are they are claiming to serve God, right? They're claiming to be God's servants. But this angel here, remember the angels came down out of heaven when Satan was thrown out, right? And he said, don't hurt anything till we've sealed all of God's servants in their forehead. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Revelation chapter 7, verse 4. And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there was sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel.
That's God's servants. We are God's servants. It was 144,000 from all the tribes of the children of Israel. And when you get in the book of Romans, Paul told you that Israel was given the covenants, the promise, the service, the giving of the law. All the holy things of God was given to the nation of Israel to do. It was Israel that wrote the book, and it was Israel who went out to teach the nations after the Messiah was 10 years after the Messiah was resurrected in Acts 7 chapter, right? He went to Cornelius, and that was opening the door to Cornelius was an Italian, so that was opening the door to the Euro Gentiles, because see, Yahweh is the creator of all flesh, and he's going to save all flesh. So what happened was the mystery was of the old order of things was how was the nation going to be saved. They didn't know, and Paul told them, say, you're a wild olive tree. You've been grafted into this tree here contrary to nature, and now you're partakers of the root and fatness of the olive tree, right? But don't you boast against these branches. That it was broken off, but you was grafted in, but don't you boast against these branches, because if God didn't spare the natural branches, take heed that he don't spare you. Well, let's look at it. They were supposed to become proselytes to Judaism, right? Then they became Christians, and look at the junk we got today. So what did they do? They cut down the tree. Well, they didn't cut the tree down. What they did was they disguised the tree. And then they set up their own tree, right? And their tree got so many different denominations in it, brother. I don't even see how their tree is still standing. But see, that's because they couldn't get that lie straight. So what they did was Satan knew that the best way to keep people together was through religion. Religion means to hold back. That's what religion means, to withhold. So he knew that if he withheld the truth, seeing that he's the father of the lie and the maker of it, so if he withheld the truth from the nation and fed them that pie in the sky and let them know you don't have to do nothing but have faith and believe, he knew that that's what we get the nation. And that's what got him. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Revelation chapter 7, verse 5. Of the tribe of Yehuda were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Reuben were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Gad were sealed 12,000.
Now, the reason why I mentioned Yehuda at first is because we know that America is going to be the first country to go, right? And Judah is over here in America, so they had to be sealed first then, didn't it? Go ahead, brother.
Yes,
Judah
sir.
wasn't the firstborn son, right? It named Judah first and then went to the firstborn son, who was Reuben, didn't it? Okay. Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 6. Of the tribe of Asher were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Naphtali were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Dan were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Simeon were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Levi were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Issachar were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Zebulun were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Yosef were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Benjamin were sealed 12,000.
Now, in verse 6, it mentioned Manasseh. Manasseh is out of place. Manasseh and Ephraim was Joseph's two sons, right? And if you skip down in verse 8, Joseph was 12,000 out of Joseph was sealed, right? It wasn't 12,000 out of Ephraim and another 12,000 out of Manasseh. It was 12,000 out of the house of Joseph that was sealed. So Manasseh is out of place, and Dan is the one that was left out of his. It was an error by the redactor that put this together. But go ahead and read, my brother.
Yes, sir.
Now, what the Gentiles are going to tell you, but see, Dan's missing, so that means that we in there. I don't see no Gentiles nowhere, here nowhere. All of these Israelites.
Well, Elder, I was asked the question, so what we have is 12 tribes, 2 half-tribes in the royal house, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
You got 12 tribes, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of those tribes broke down into 2 half-tribes,
Right.
so that left you 11 tribes, and 2 half-tribes which made up a whole tribe, right? And then you had the royal house of David.
Okay.
That was the branch that grew out the roots of the tree, the house of David. Okay. So you can't get around Israel. From Genesis to Revelation, you can't get around Israel. And this is what people try to do simply because they know what the nations know what they've done to our people. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Revelation chapter 7, verse 9. After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands.
Now understand, he's seeing a vision now. Okay, go ahead, brother.
Verse 10. And cried with a loud voice, saying, Salvation to our Elohim which sitteth upon the throne, and unto the Lamb.
So we can very well see that these nations here are going to have to do what? They're going to have to go through that great tribulation period. Israel was sealed, but the nation is going to have to go through that great tribulation period. This is the only time. This is what it's going to take to make them turn to the true and living God. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 11. And all the angels stood round about the throne, and about the elders, and the 4 beasts, and fell before the throne on their faces, and worshiped Yah, saying, Amen. Blessing and glory and wisdom and thanksgiving and honor and power and might be unto our Elohim forever and ever. Amen.
Amen.
And one of the elders answered, saying unto me, What are these which are arrayed in white robes, and from where did they come? And I said unto him, Sir, you know. And he said to me, These are they which came out of great tribulation, and have washed their robes, and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Therefore are they before the throne of Elohim, and serve him day and night in his temple. And he that sitteth on the throne shall dwell among them. They shall hunger no more, neither thirst any more, neither shall the sun light on them, nor any heat.
Now it said, therefore, verse 15, therefore they before the throne of God and serve him day and night in his temple, right? But they'll never go in the sanctuary. Only Israel, according to the law, only Israel could, and the men of Israel could enter into the sanctuary under the penalty of death. You see, now when he talking about the temple, what is he talking about? The whole temple mound, right? Where didn't the Gentiles have their outer court? Didn't the scripture say they're going to come up from year to year to bring their increase? Okay. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 16. They shall hunger no more, neither thirst any more, neither shall the sun light on them, nor any heat. Verse 17. For the Lamb which is in the midst of the throne shall feed them, and shall lead them unto ever living fountains of waters, and Elohim shall wipe away all tears from their eyes.
Okay, so what do we see here? We saw the sealing of the 140. We saw Satan thrown out of heaven, the sealing of the 144,000, and the nations go through the great tribulation. These would be, we read this, some of this last week, these would be your servants in the Davidic king. These would be your plowmen and your vine dressers and your nursing mothers and your nursing fathers, as the prophet had to say. But let's go and pick up something else that's taking place during this same 3.5 year period here. Let's go into Revelations 11, and I want to read verse 1 through verse 10, my brother. Satan is thrown out of heaven, and they're in the temple in Jerusalem, playing that game they're playing about who God is. Let's see what's going on in the city of Zion at this time. Revelations 11, and read verse 1 through verse 10.
Yes, sir. And thou was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood, saying, Rise, and measure the temple of Elohim, and the altar, and them that worship therein. But the court, which is outside the temple, leave out, and measure it not. For it is given unto the Europeans, and the holy city shall they tread underfoot 42 months. And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth.
Now, the 42 months, the 1,360 days, all that equal up to 3.5 years, doesn't it? Okay, this is the time known as the Great Tribulation period. Go ahead and read. They're going to be prophesying about what's going on in Jerusalem. There's going to be a man in Jerusalem that people are going to be saying is the Messiah. Okay, and the Pope is going to crown him as the King of Kings. Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Revelation chapter 11, verse 4. These are the 2 olive trees and the 2 candlesticks standing before the Elohim of the earth.
Now, there's been a lot of speculation about who these 2 olive trees are. And what we're going to do after this class is we're going to deal with this and show that the things that people are saying is a lie. And we're going to let the scripture back that up. See, that come from, that's youth in action. See, that come from not dealing in the spirit, but dealing with what you think. Yeah. Go ahead, brother.
Revelation chapter 11, verse 5. And if any man will hurt them, fire proceedeth out of their mouth and devoureth their enemies. And if any man will hurt them, he must in this manner be killed.
Okay, my brother, I'm gonna, go ahead and read the next verse. I really want to stop at verse 6 there. Go ahead and read the next verse.
These have power to shut heaven, that it rain not in the days of their prophecy, and have power over waters to turn them to blood, and to smite the earth with all plagues as often as they will.
So now, with the beast in power, we got 2 olive trees that's in Jerusalem that's witnessing against the beast during the Great Tribulation period, right? Okay, Revelations 8, and pick that up at verse 1, my brother. Revelation chapter 8 and verse 1. Let's go pick up the 7th seal here.
And when he had opened the 7th seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of half an hour. And I saw the 7 angels which stood before Elohim, and to them were given 7 trumpets. And another angel came and stood at the altar, having a golden censer. And there was given unto him much incense, that he should offer it with the prayers of all saints upon the golden altar which was before the throne. And the smoke of the incense, which came with the prayers of the saints, ascended up before Elohim out of the angel's hand. And the angel took the censer and filled it with fire of the altar, and cast it into the earth, and there was voices and thunderings and lightnings and an earthquake.
Okay, my brother. Go ahead.
Verse 6. And the 7 angels which had the 7 trumpets prepared themselves to sound.
Okay, my brother. Now, this seventh seal ends the 3.5 years of great tribulation, and the 2 olive trees. I think we better go read that so you get the facts on that. Let's go back to Revelations 11. Revelations 11, and pick that up at verse 7, and read up to verse 12.
Verse 7. And when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit shall make war with them, and shall overcome them, and kill them.
Now, that was after 3.5 years. They get killed, right? The 2 olive trees, right? Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Adonai was crucified.
So we know he's talking about Jerusalem, right? Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 9. And they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and in half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves. And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them and make merry, and shall send gifts one to another, because these 2 prophets tormented them that dwelt on the earth. And after 3 days and in half, the spirit of life from Elohim entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them.
It didn't say the breath of life entered into him, did it? It said the spirit entered into him, right? Okay, go ahead, brother.
Verse 12. And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, Come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld.
Now, the Christians like to tell you, this is when he told these 2 witnesses to come up. The Christians like to tell y'all, well, see, he said, come up hither, but he was talking to 2 folks. See?
Right.
Now, the 7th seal ends the 3.5 years of great tribulation, and the 2 olive trees assume their place beside our King of Kings, Yahshua. Now, Revelations 8, and read verse 8 and verse 9, my brother. Revelations 8 and verse, no, that's got to be wrong. Revelations 8 and verse 6 and verse 7.
Yes, sir. Verse 6. And the 7 angels, which had the 7 trumpets, prepared themselves to sound. The first angel sounded, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth, and the 3rd part of trees was burnt up, and all green grass was burnt up.
Now we see why the people had to be sealed, don't we? Huh? Now we see why the great multitude had to have the protection of God also, because now Yahweh is beginning to pour his wrath on the earth. Remember, Paul said it's going to come as a destruction from the Almighty. Not from Yahshua, but from the Almighty, right? Okay, chapter 15. Y'all hold your, put something in your book right there, because we're going to be coming right back here. Chapter 15 and verse 1 through chapter 16 and verse 2.
Verse 1. And I saw another sign in heaven, great and marvelous, 7 angels having the 7 last plagues, for in them is filled up the wrath of Elohim. And I saw, as it were, a sea of glass mingled with fire, and them that had gotten the victory over the beast, and over his image, and over his mark, and over the number of his name, stand on the sea of glass, having the harps of Elohim. And they sing the song of Moshe, the servant of Yah, and the song of the Lamb, saying, Great and marvelous are your works, Adonai Elohim Almighty. Just and true are your ways, you King of saints. Who shall not fear thee, O Adonai, and glorify your name? For you only are holy. For all nations shall come and worship before you, for your judgments are made manifest.
Amen.
And after that I looked, and behold, the temple of the tabernacle of the testimony in heaven was open. And the 7 angels came out of the temple, having the 7 plagues, clothed in pure and white linen, and having their breasts girded with golden girdles. And one of the four beasts gave unto the seven angels 7 golden vials full of the wrath of Elohim, who liveth forever and ever. And the temple was filled with smoke from the glory of Yah and from his power, and no man was able to enter into the temple till the 7 plagues of the 7 angels were fulfilled. And I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the 7 angels, Go your ways, and pour out the vials of the wrath of Elohim upon the earth. And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worship his image.
Okay, my brother, now let's go back into Revelations 8 and pick it up at verse 8 and 9.
Verse 8, And the second angel sounded, and as it were a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea, and the third part of the sea became blood. And the third part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died, and the third part of the ships were destroyed.
Okay, chapter 16, and read verse 3.
And the second angel poured out his vial upon the sea, and it became as the blood of a dead man, and every living soul died in the sea.
In the first trumpet, a third of all the souls in the sea died, right? In the second trumpet, every soul, every living soul in the sea died. The earth now the earth is going to begin to stink because everything in the water is going to be dead. Yeah, go ahead, brother.
You said every living soul in the sea died?
Yeah.
So then after they died, they became dead souls, dead bodies?
If you ain't a living soul, you're a dead soul. Right? Okay, so all the fish and everything in the sea died, right? Okay. Let's go back to Revelations 8 and read verse 10 and verse 11. Now remember, all of this is happening. Part of this stuff here happened. A third part of the trees was burned up, and all green grass was burned up, right? Okay, so we're still dealing with that third part of the earth that's being destroyed at this time here. Go ahead, my brother, Revelations 8, and read verse 10 and verse 11.
Yes, sir. And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp, and it fell upon the third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of waters. And the name of the star is called Wormwood. And the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died of the waters because they were made bitter.
Verse 6, chapter 16, and verse 4 through verse 7, my brother.
And the third angel poured out his vial upon the rivers and fountains of waters, and they became blood. And I heard the angel of the water say, You are righteous, O Adonai, which are and were and shall be, because you have judged thus. But they have shed the blood of saints and prophets, and you have given them blood to drink, for they are worthy. And I heard another out of the altars say, Even so, Adonai Elohim Almighty, true and righteous are your judgments.
Now this is the destruction of America, the daughter of Babylon, the Roman Catholic, the daughter of Babylon, the daughter of the Roman Catholic mother whore. We read the prophecies last week in Isaiah 13, Isaiah 18, Isaiah 17, Jeremiah 50, and Jeremiah 51, which was the destruction of America. And the thing of it is this, we got to be out of here when this takes place. And he said in Ezekiel 33 and verse 20, Behold, I'm going to allure her and bring her to the wilderness. And there I'm going to speak comfortably unto her. Isaiah 47 said, At the destruction of the daughter of Babylon shall the children of Israel come, bringing their gold and their silver with them, right? He said, I'm going to open up a storehouse and she's going to be robbed, right? Right. Remember, the Pope don't care nothing about their gold and their silver and nothing. The only thing they want is to destroy this country, right? Okay, Revelations 8, and let's pick this up at verse 12 and verse 13, my brother.
And the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the moon, and the third part of the stars, so as the third part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for a third part of it, and the night likewise.
Terrible sights. Then the Messiah said there's going to be fearful signs in the heavens, right? Can you imagine the sun not shining for a third of it, and the moon not shining for a third part of the night? Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Revelation chapter 8, verse 13. And I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth by reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the three angels, which are yet to sound.
Woe, because of the three trumpets that's going to sound next, right? Revelation 9 and verse 1 through verse 12.
And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit as the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air was darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit.
So now the armies is coming together, right? Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir, verse 3. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power as the scorpions of the earth have power.
Now, we understand that John the Revelator had no idea what a helicopter and a tank and all that stuff was all about, right? So it looked like locusts to him. Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir, verse 4. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of Elohim in their foreheads. And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months. And their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man. And in those days shall men seek death, and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle. And on their heads were as it were crowns like gold, and their faces were as the faces of men. And they had hair as the hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions. And they had breastplates as it were breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots of many horses running to battle. And they had tails like unto scorpions, and there were stings in their tails. And their power was to hurt men 5 months. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue have his name Apollyon.
Satan. Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 12. One woe is past, and behold, there come 2 woes more hereafter.
Chapter 16 and verse 10 and 11.
And the fifth angel poured out his vial upon the seat of the beast, and his kingdom was full of darkness, and they gnawed their tongues for pain, and blasphemed the Elohim of heaven because of their pains and their sores, and repented not of their deeds.
Okay, my brother, chapter 9 and verse 13 through verse 20. Ain't that something? Satan has set him up. Remember when we read in Revelation 13, the dragon gave this last king his power and his seat and great authority, right? Now one of the angels of the Lord done poured that vial up on that seat, and the whole kingdom became full of darkness, right? And the people had sores all over because of the radioactive fallout from the destruction of America. Yeah. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 13. And the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar, which is before Elohim, saying to the sixth angel which had the trumpet, Loose the 4 angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. And the 4 angels were loose which were prepared for an hour, and a day, and a month, and a year, for to slay the third part of men. And the number of the army of the horsemen was 200,000. And I heard the number of them.
So we know that Asia said they already have, China said they already got a 2 million man army, right? 200,000 is 2 million men. Okay, so we know that this army here is coming out of Asia, right? Go ahead, brother.
Verse 17. And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire and of jacinth and brimstone, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone. By these three was the third part of men killed by the fire, and by the smoke, and by the brimstone which issued out of their mouths.
Now, China is in Asia, isn't it? Russia is also in Asia, right? Didn't it say Russia was going to destroy America in 1 hour, in 1 day? Okay, there it is right there. Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 19. For their power is in their mouth and in their tails.
Okay, brother.
Verse 19. For their power is in their mouth and in their tails. For their tails were like unto serpents, and had heads, and with them they do hurt. And the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues yet repented not of the works of their hands, that they should not worship devils and idols of gold, and silver, and brass, and stone, and of wood, which can neither see nor hear, nor walk.
Okay, my brother, now let's go back into Revelations 11 and pick that up at verse 13. Revelations 11 and pick that up at verse 13. This is still the second woe, which is the sixth trumpet. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 13. And the same hour was there a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell, and in the earthquake were slain of men 7,000, and the remnant were affrighted, and gave glory to the Elohim of heaven. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly.
Chapter 16 and verse 12 through verse 16. Chapter 16, verse 12 through verse 16. I mean, verse 13 to verse 16. I'm sorry, brother.
Revelation chapter 16, verses 13 through 16. And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. For they are the spirits of devils, working miracles which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world, to gather them to the battle of that great day of Elohim Almighty. Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watches and keep his garments, lest he walk naked, and they see his shame. And he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue, Armageddon.
Right. He sent those 3 unclean spirits to gather these armies together, right? Chapter 14 and verse 6 through verse 13. Chapter 14 and verse 6 through verse 13.
And I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation and kindred and tongue and people, saying with a loud voice, Fear Yahweh, and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come, and worship him that made heaven and earth and the sea and the fountains of waters. And there followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Elohim, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever. And they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of Elohim and the faith of Yahshua HaMashiach.
Amen.
And I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, Write, blessed are the dead which die in the Adonai from henceforth, yea, say the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors, and their works do follow them.
Okay. Now he said Babylon is fallen, right? Let's go and destroy Babylon. We're talking about the Roman Catholic Church now, right? Okay. Revelation 17 and 12 through 19 and 10. Revelation 17 and verse 12 through 19 and 10. Now remember, the beast has 7 heads, 10 horns, and 10 crowns, right? Okay, go ahead, brother. I know it wouldn't. I know it wouldn't, brother. I haven't seen anybody get raptured off here yet. Out of all the things we read in Revelation, nobody left here yet but the 2 witnesses did. Okay. Okay. Revelation 17, pick that up for verse 12, my brother.
Yes, sir. And the 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them. For he is Adonai of Adonais, and King of kings. And they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. And he says unto me, The waters which you saw, where the horse sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues.
Mm-hmm.
And the 10 horns which you saw upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. For Yah hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree, and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of Elohim shall be fulfilled. And the woman which you saw is that great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth.
Okay, brother, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Revelations 18, verse 1. And after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird.
And when you look in the Vatican and look at the things that they deal with, we can very well see that, man. They bury bodies in the Vatican. Check that out. Go ahead.
They even had a show on X-Files on Sunday night, where they went down, they had their little thing going on. They went down inside this Roman Catholic church in the basement and dug up dead bodies. They had dead bodies around there.
Sure. They dug them up and set them up, and they sit around and have dinner with them. Yeah, I saw that, Jim. They'll go down and dig up the dead bodies, bring them out, and sit them up at the table, and they have dinner with them. White folks. That's why Yahweh said, my son, learn not the ways of the heathen, because they're vain. Go ahead. And we know what it is with a dead body. If you touch the grave of a man, you're unclean. If you go in a house that a person died in, you're unclean 7 days. You're going to read, brother.
Verse 3. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacy.
Didn't Bush just go to see the Pope? Every president that's elected has to go to see the Pope, though. Go ahead, brother. Now understand, Bush is a protester. He's a Protestant, but he had to go see that Catholic Pope, didn't he? Right. Right. Of course. Of course, if the Roman Catholic Church don't condone you, brother, you're in big trouble. You see, they didn't condone John F. Kennedy, and you see what happened to him, don't you? A turncoat Roman Catholic. That's why the country didn't want to elect him as president, because he was a Catholic. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sins, and that you receive not of her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and Yah have remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she hath rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her work. In the cup which she hath filled, fill to her double. How much has she glorified herself and lived deliciously? So much torment and sorrow give her. For she says in her heart, I sit a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is Adonai Elohim who judges her.
Amen.
And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is your judgment come. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise any more. The merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and of pearls and fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and all cyanine wood and all manner vessels of ivory and all manner vessels of most precious wood and of brass and iron and marble and cinnamon and odors and ointments and frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour and wheat and beasts and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves and souls of men. And the fruit that your soul lusted after are departed from you, and all things which were dainty and goodly are departed from you, and you shall find them no more at all. The merchants of these things, which were made rich by her, shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing, and saying, Alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. For in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught. And every shipmaster and all the company in ships and sailors and as many as trade by sea stood afar off and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, What city is like unto this great city? And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, Alas, alas, that great city, wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness, for in 1 hour is she made desolate. Rejoice over her, thou heavens, and you holy apostles and prophets, for Yah have avenged you on her.
Amen.
And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone, and cast it into the sea, saying, Thus with violence shall the great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. And the voice of harpers, and musicians, and of pipers, and of trumpeters shall be heard no more at all in you. And no craftsman, or whatsoever craft he be, shall be found any more in you. And the sound of a millstone shall be heard no more in you at all. And the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in you. And the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in you. For your merchants were the great men of the earth. For by your sorceries were all nations deceived. And in her was found the blood of prophets and of saints and of all that was slain upon the earth. And after these things I heard a great voice of much people in heaven saying, Praise Yahweh, salvation and glory and honor and power unto Adonai our Elohim. For true and righteous are his judgments. For he hath judged the great whore which did corrupt the earth with her fornication, and have avenged the blood of his servants at her hand.
Amen.
And again they said, Praise Yahweh. And her smoke rose up forever and ever. And the 24 elders and the 4 beasts fell down and worship Elohim that sat on the throne, saying, Amen, praise Yahweh. And a voice came out of the throne saying, Praise our Elohim, all you his servants, and you that fear him, both small and great. And I heard, as it were, the voice of a great multitude, and as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of mighty thundering, saying, Praise Yahweh. For Adonai Elohim omnipotent reigneth. Let us be glad and rejoice, and give honor to him. For the marriage of the Lamb is come, and his wife hath made herself ready. And to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white. For the fine linen is the righteousness of saints. And he says unto me, Right, blessed are they which are called unto the marriage supper of the Lamb. And he says unto me, these are the true sayings of Elohim. And I fell at his feet to worship him, and he said unto me, don't you do it. I am your fellow servant, and of your brethren that have the testimony of Yeshua HaMashiach. Worship Yahweh, for the testimony of Yeshua HaMashiach is the spirit of prophecy.
Amen. So Babylon is fallen. So far, all the earth's water was tainted with blood. There are signs in the sun and moon. The 10 kings have destroyed the Vatican, the foundation of Christianity, and the battle is set in array against Zion, Yahweh's earthly holy city, right? Let's go to Revelation 10 and read verse 1 through verse 7.
And I saw another mighty angel come down from heaven, clothed with a cloud, and a rainbow was upon his head, and his face was as it were the sun, and his feet as pillars of fire. And he had in his hand a little book open, and he set his right foot upon the sea, and his left foot on the earth, and cried with a loud voice, as when a lion roars. And when he had cried, 7 thunders uttered their voices. And when the 7 thunders had uttered their voices, I was about to write. And I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, seal up those things which the 7 thunders uttered, and write them not. And the angel which I saw stand upon the sea and upon the earth lifted up his hand to heaven, and swore by him that liveth forever and ever, who created heaven and the things that therein are, and the earth and the things that therein are, and the sea and the things which are therein, that there shall be time no longer. But in the days of the voice of the 7th angel, when he shall begin to sound, the mystery of Elohim should be finished, as he have declared to his servants the prophets.
Revelation 11 and verse 15 through verse 19.
Did you want me to finish up 10?
Yeah, go ahead, brother. No.
Okay.
No,
1 through 7. Okay,
yeah.
I got
Revelation 11 and 15 through verse 19. Now remember, the angel said, "We're waiting for the 7/8. When the seventh trumpet begin to sound, the mystery of God to be finished." Right? Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 15. And the 7th angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven saying, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Adonai and of his anointed one, and he shall reign forever and ever. And the 24 elders which sat before Elohim on their seats fell upon their faces and worshiped Yah, saying, we give thee thanks, O Adonai Elohim Almighty, which are and was and are to come, because you have taken to you your great power and have reigned. And the nations were angry, and your wrath is come, and the time of the dead that they should be judged, and that you should give reward to your servants the prophets, and to the saints, and them that fear your name, small and great, and should destroy them which destroy the earth. And the temple of Elohim was opened in heaven, and there was seen in his temple the ark of his testament, and there were lightnings and voices and thunderings and an earthquake and great hail.
Daniel 11 and verse 36 through 12 and verse 13. Daniel 11 and verse 36 through chapter 12 and verse 13. Daniel chapter 11 and verse 36. Now all this wrath being poured upon the earth, right? And folks ain't gonna bit more know what's happening in the man in the moon. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 36. And the king shall do according to his will, and he shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every Elohim, and shall speak marvelous things against the Elohim of Elohim, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished, for that is determined shall be done. Neither shall he regard the Elohim of his fathers, nor to desire women, nor regard any Elohim, for he shall magnify himself above all. But in his estate shall he honor the Elohim of forces, And a Elohim whom his fathers knew not shall he honor with gold and silver and with precious stones and pleasant things. Thus shall he do in the most strongholds with a strange Elohim whom he shall acknowledge and increase with glory, and he shall cause them to rule over many and shall divide the land for gain. And at the time of the end shall the king of the south push at him, and the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind, with chariots and with horsemen and with many ships. And he shall enter into the countries and shall overflow and pass over.
And what this is here is that now they're doing what? They're putting all of the rest of those Muslims under control, right? Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 41. He shall enter also into the glorious land, and many countries shall be overthrown. But these shall escape out of his hand, even Edom and Moab, and the chief of the children of Ammon.
In other words, the people in Israel now that's fighting each other, they are doing what? It says these are going to escape out of his hands simply because the prophets tell us that they are going into captivity on us, right? Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 42. He shall stretch forth his hand also upon the countries, and the land of Egypt shall not escape. But he shall have power over the treasures of gold and of silver, and over all the precious things of Egypt. And the Libyans and the Ethiopians shall be at his steps. But tidings out of the east and out of the north shall trouble him. Therefore he shall go forth with great fury to destroy and utterly to make away many. And he shall plant the tabernacles of his palace between the seas and the glorious holy mountain. Yet shall he come to his end, and none shall help him.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time shall Mikael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of your people. And there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time your people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book.
He says what? At that time your people, Daniel, is going to be delivered. Everyone is going to be found written in the book, right? Glory and honor to the Jew first, and then to the Euro Gentile. Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 2. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt.
He didn't say all that sleep in the dust is going to awake. He said many of them, right? The ones, some of them is going to be resurrected to life, right? And the rest of them is going to go ahead and sleep during the millennial period. Then after that will be the great white throne judgment when the book of life is open, right? The book of life, the book of the Lamb, and the book of the law. And all men to be judged out of those what? Out of those three books after the Messiah's reign. But go ahead now.
So, Ellie, you know, you got these Christians, we've been talking about this for years and years. They dying and going right up to heaven, right?
Sure they are.
Superseding all these holy people that's been laying in the ground for thousands of years.
Of course they are. Because from what I've seen in heaven wasn't nothing but it was Israel sitting on the throne, right? Then you had the 24 elders, right? And then the Messiah appeared in the midst of them, right? And John was there. Now I don't know what these folks talking about. Now these things here is taking place at the opening of the seventh seal. This is the future time. See? And these folks ain't seen in heaven yet. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 3. And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever.
And they that be wise shall shine at the brightness of the firmament. The Messiah told his people in St. Matthew 8 chapter, say, you are the light of the world. A city that sit on the hill should not be hid, right? Isaiah said, Yahweh has sent a word in Jacob, and it is lighted on Israel, didn't it? And he said, there's going to always be a light in the house of David, didn't it? Go ahead, bro.
Yes, sir. Verse 4. But you, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. And verse 4. But you, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. Then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, there stood other two, the one on this side of the bank of the river, and the other on that side of the bank of the river. And one said to the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, how long shall it be to the end of these wonders? And I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, and swore by him that liveth forever, that it shall be for a time, times and an half, and when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished.
For 3.5 years, right? Go ahead, brother.
Verse 8. And I heard, but I understood not. Then said I, O my Adonai, what shall be the end of these things? And he said, Go your way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed to the time of the end. Many shall be purified and made white and tried. But the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand. But the wise shall understand. And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate set up, there shall be 1,290 days.
Mm-hmm.
Blessed is he that waiteth and cometh to the 1,305 days. But you go your way to the end be, for you shall rest and stand in your lot at the end of the days.
So we see that 45 days was added to the 3.5 years, right? But there's a reason for that. 2 Thessalonians 2 in verse 1 through verse 12. 2 Thessalonians 2 in verse 1 through verse 12. Second Thessalonians 2 in verse 1 through verse 12.
Verse 1. Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Adonai Yeshua HaMashiach, and by our gathering together unto him, that you be not soon shaken in mind, or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter as from us, as that the day of the anointed one is at hand. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a following away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition.
Right, a falling away from sound doctrine, right? Then revealing the son of perdition, right? Go ahead, brother.
Verse 4. Who opposes and exalteth himself above all that is called Elohim, all that is worshipped, so that he is Elohim, sitteth in the temple of Elohim, showing himself that he is Elohim. Remember you not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things? And now you know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time. For the mystery of iniquity does already work. Only he who now let will let until he be taken out of the way.
Right. The Holy Ghost is allowing these things to happen because Yahweh is claiming his people and the Spirit is claiming his people. And it's going to happen till the Holy Spirit be moved out of the way. Then once the Holy Spirit is moved out of the way, all hell is going to break loose. Go ahead. With all the things that happen on the earth is unfit to live in. Now all hell is getting ready to break loose. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 8. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Adonai shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause Elohim shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believe not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness.
Amen. Now the Pope has caused all to worship the beast as God in the temple they build during the Great Tribulation period. And let's go, the seventh trumpet is blown. Now let's go and pour out this seventh vial here. Let's go into Revelation 16 and verse 17 through verse 21.
Let me ask you, is this referring to the children of Israel here in 2 Thessalonians, and how the Christians are never in covenant, they already cut off? Is this who is this referring to?
This is what referring to in 2 Thessalonians?
Chapter 2.
About what? The mystery of iniquity already at work?
Well, it's really referring to those who are going to be deceived, that are going to believe the strong delusion, that's going to be lies, that they all might be damned.
That's going to be part of Israel and all the other nations. Remember, Yahweh said 2 parts of us is going to be cut off and die.
Right.
Well, why you think they're going to die?
Disobedience.
Right. Revelation 16, verse 17 through verse 21.
And the 7th angel poured out his vial into the air, and there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven from the throne, saying, It is done. And there were voices and thunders and lightnings, and there was a great earthquake, such as was not since men were upon the earth, so mighty an earthquake and so great. And the great city was divided into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell, and great Babylon came in remembrance before Yah, to give unto her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. And every island fled away, and the mountains were not found. And there fell upon men a great hail out of heaven, every stone weighing about 120 pounds. And men blasphemed Elohim because of the plague of the hail, for the plague thereof was exceeding great.
Zechariah 2 and verse 1 through verse 13. Zechariah 2. I think that's where I want to go. That don't look right, though. Give me a minute. Yeah, Zechariah 2 and verse 1 through verse 13.
Verse 1. I lifted up mine eyes again and looked, and behold, a man with a measuring line in his hand. Then said I, Where are you going? And he said to me, To measure Jerusalem, to see what is the breadth thereof, and what is the length thereof. And behold, the angel that talked with me went forth, and another angel went out to meet him, and said unto him, Run, speak to this young man, saying, Jerusalem shall be inhabited as towns without walls for the multitude of men and cattle therein.
All these armies coming up there, and you see what's being said. Go tell Zechariah, Jerusalem is going to be inhabited again. Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 5. For I, says Yahweh, will be unto her a wall of fire round about, and will be the glory in the midst of her. Ho, ho! Come forth and flee from the land of the north, says Yahweh, for I have spread you abroad as the 4 winds of the heavens, says Yahweh. Deliver thyself, O Judah, that dwelleth with the daughter of Babylon.
Deliver yourself out of America, Judah, right? Go ahead, brother.
Verse 8. For thus says Yahweh of hosts, after the glory hath he sent me unto the nations which spoil you. For he that touches you touches the apple of his eye. For behold, I will shake mine hand upon them, and they shall be a spoil to their servants. And you shall know that Yahweh of hosts hath sent me. Sing and rejoice, O daughter of Judah. For lo, I come, and I will dwell in the midst of thee, says Yahweh.
Now, everybody talking about they're going to be with the Messiah, right? But that's not what it said here. It says, sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion. That's the house of Judah, ain't it? Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 11. And many nations shall be joined to Yahweh in that day, and shall be my people. And I will dwell in the midst of you, and you shall know that Yahweh of hosts hath sent me unto you. And Yahweh shall inherit Yehudah his portion in the Holy Land, and shall choose Jerusalem again. Be silent, O all flesh, before Yahweh, for he is raised up out of his holy habitation.
Joel chapter 1 and verse 13 through chapter 3 and verse 17. Joel chapter 1 and verse 13 through chapter 3 and verse 17. Joel chapter 1 and verse 13.
Gird yourselves and lament, you priests. Howl, you ministers of the altar. Come, lie all night in sackcloth, you ministers of my Elohim. For the meat offering and the drink offering is withheld from the house of your Elohim. Sanctify your fast, call a solemn assembly, gather the elders and all the inhabitants of the land into the house of Yahweh your Elohim, and cry unto Yahweh. Alas for the day of Yahweh is at hand, and as a destruction from the Almighty shall it come. Is not the meat cut off before our eyes, yea, joy and gladness from the house of our Elohim? The seed is rotten under their clods, the garners are laid desolate, the barns are broken down, for the corn is withered. How do the beasts groan? The herds of cattle are perplexed, because they have no pasture. Yea, the flocks of sheep are made desolate.
Right, all the green grass was burnt up, right? And the corn was withered and everything, right? So the cattle didn't have nothing to eat, right? Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir, verse 19. O Yahweh, to you will I cry, for the fire have devoured the pastures of the wilderness, and the flame have burned all the trees of the field. The beasts of the field cry also unto you, for the rivers of waters are dried up, and the fire have devoured the pastures of the wilderness. Blow you the trumpet in Judah, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of Yahweh cometh, for it is near at hand. A day of darkness and of gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains. A great people and a strong. They have not been ever the like, neither shall be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. A fire devours before them, and behind them a flame burneth. The land is as the garden of Edom before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness. Yea, and nothing shall escape them. The appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, and as horsemen so shall they run. Like the noise of chariots on the tops of mountains shall they leap. Like the noise of a flame of fire that devours the stubble, as a strong people set in battle array. Before their face the people shall be much pain. All faces shall gather black.
Right, they're going to destroy and pillage everything. Can you imagine the massive army coming through that Middle East there? They're going to destroy everything in their path. Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 7. They shall run like mighty men. They shall climb the wall like men of war, and they shall march everyone on his ways, and they shall not break their ranks.
In other words, the city's going to be invaded, isn't it? Go ahead, brother.
Verse 8. Neither shall one thrust another. They shall walk everyone in his paths, and when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded.
In other words, you'd lose a whole lot of men, they're not going to miss them, right? Go ahead.
Verse 9. They shall run to and fro in the city. They shall run upon the wall. They shall climb up upon the houses. They shall enter in at the windows like a thief. The earth shall quake before them. The heavens shall tremble. The sun and the moon shall be dark, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. And Yahweh shall utter his voice before his army, for his camp is very great. For he is strong that executeth his word. For the day of Yahweh is great and very terrible, and who can abide it? Therefore also now, says Yahweh, turn you even to me with all your heart, and with fasting, and with weeping, and with mourning. And rend your heart, and not your garment, and turn unto Yahweh your Elohim. For he is gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and of great kindness, and repenteth him of the evil.
So in other words, stop holy smoking, stop faking, and turn to God with your whole heart, because if you don't, you're going to have serious problems. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 14. Who knows if he will return and repent, and leave a blessing behind him, even a meat offering and a drink offering unto Yahweh your Elohim. Blow the trumpet in Judah, sanctify a fast, call a solemn assembly. Gather the people, sanctify the congregation, assemble the elders, gather the children and those that suck the breast. Let the bridegroom go forth of his chamber, and the bride out of her closet. Let the priests, the ministers of Yahweh, weep between the porch and the altar, and let them say, spare your people, O Yahweh, and give not your heritage to reproach, that the heathen should rule over them. Why should they say among the people, where is their God?
So we see from here that just like we did in other classes, what happened was the nations came up to Jerusalem simply because Judah had came up out of the wilderness and secured that city. And the nations are coming up to destroy the city. This is why he said, destroy us, rather. That's why he said in verse 15, blow the trumpet in Judah and sanctify affairs, call a solemn assembly. Gather the people, sanctify the congregation, assemble the elders, gather the children and those that suck the breast. Let the bridegroom go forth of his chamber and the bride out of her closet. Let the priests, the ministers of Yahweh, weep between the porch and the altar, and let them say, spare your people, O Yahweh, and give not your heritage to reproach, that the heathen should rule over them. Wherefore should they say, where's your God now? We got you all boxed up in the city. Now we get ready to destroy all the rest of it. We done already destroyed 2/3 of y'all. Now we got you. We're going to kill y'all from off the face of the earth, and Satan, our God, will have made God alive. Don't read, brother.
I have a question.
Yeah.
They had already probably been looking for all these people that had disappeared anyway.
Correct.
So when they show up in Jerusalem.
Correct. They know where we are now, brother, and they coming to get us. They've been looking for us. Remember, we was out in the wilderness for 3.5 years, and the angel told us there'll be a covering over the defense. You see, all them satellite technology and everything they got, they won't be able to see us really. And then once we go in and take that city, the nation's going to know where we are then. Then everybody's going to come up to destroy this so-called Hebrew Israelite off the face of the earth. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir, verse 18. Then will Yahweh be jealous for his land and pity his people. Yea, Yahweh will answer and say unto his people, behold, I will send you corn and wine and oil, and you shall be satisfied therewith, and I will no more make you a reproach among the heathen.
Right. Check what he's saying. All these millions of folks out there, he said, look, I'm going to send you corn and wine, and oh, you ain't thinking about that. Don't you even worry about it, because not one hair of your head is going to be harmed. No weapon formed against you is going to prosper. Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir, verse 20. But I will remove far from you the northern army, and will drive him into a land barren and desolate, with his face toward the east sea, and his hinder part toward the utmost sea, and his stink shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up, because he hath done great things. Fear not, O land, be glad and rejoice, for Yahweh will do great things. Be not afraid, you beasts of the field, for the pastures of the wilderness do spring, for the tree beareth her fruit, the fig tree and the vine do yield their strength. Be glad then, you children of Judah, and rejoice in Yahweh your Elohim, for he hath given you the former rain moderately, and he will cause to come down for you the rain, the former rain, and the latter rain in the month Abib.
Right, the first month. See? The dead body is going to be buried, and then it's going to take 7 months to do that, and then in the first month of the year, that'll bring us to the first month of the year, and in the first month of the year, that's when the showers of blessings are going to come down. Go ahead, brother.
In a voluntary exodus from this country is going to be destroyed. Why would they be looking for it?
What do you think?
I wouldn't think they would.
Why?
Because everybody's going to be leaving.
Everybody's going to be leaving, going back to their own land, right? Well, where are we going to be at? In the wilderness, right? Man, the nations know who we are. The nations know that we are God's chosen people. That's why they're going to be looking for us, to destroy you, to make God a lie. That's the only reason they could be looking for. They already got a king and a man installed in there, talking about he's the Messiah, haven't they? Okay. A white boy. Go ahead, brother.
Didn't Pharaoh do the Hebrews the same way?
Just about.
Came after them.
Just about came running after us once we got in the wilderness, didn't we? You know why? We had left with all this treasure here, right? But these folks here, they coming after because they want to destroy us. They already got their God set up. The people are worshiping him as the Messiah and so forth and so on. So we in the way. We know that truth thing. We're going to have to be killed off. This is why Yahweh is going. This is why we're going to be protected, because the truth has to be in the city once the Messiah returns.
Is it possible that they may be speaking this also to
share in our blessings?
No. Ain't nobody gonna be wanting to share in your blessing. They want to rip you off, Jack. Then, this is why I said, let the priests and so forth that gather the people, let the priests and the ministers weep between the porch and also say, spare your people, O God. Because the nation is coming up to kill you. Ain't coming up to learn nothing from you.
Not at that time.
No. They got their ideas about you. Jake is a bunch of trouble. Jake is dripping with them curses, and they don't want Jake on the earth. Jake is the problem on this earth right now today. We are the reason why the earth is in the shape again, and we know it. Yeah. Go ahead and you're right, and everybody else do. Yeah, go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 24. And the floor shall be full of wheat, and the vat shall overflow with wine and oil. And I will restore to you the years that the locusts have eaten, the cankerworm and the caterpillar and the palmer worm, my great empires which I sent among you.
Right, the four empires, the Babylonian, the Medo-Persian, the Greek, and the Roman Empire, right? He said, I'm going to restore to you the years that these people here have eaten up. Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 26. And you shall eat in plenty and be satisfied, and praise the name of Yahweh your Elohim that have dealt wondrously with you, and my people shall never be ashamed. And you shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, that I am Yahweh your Elohim, and none else, and my people shall never be ashamed. And it shall come to pass afterwards that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh.
Right, after I do all these things for you, Israel, then I'm going to pour out my spirit upon all flesh. Go ahead, brother.
And your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, your old men shall dream dreams, your young men shall see visions. And also upon the servants and upon the handmaids in those days will I pour out my spirit. And I will show wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke. The sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood before the great and terrible day of Yahweh comes. And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of Yahweh shall be delivered. For in Mount Zion and in Jerusalem shall be deliverance, as Yahweh hath said, and in the remnant whom Yahweh shall call. For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Yehuda and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations, and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a bar for a harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink. Yea, and what have you to do with me, O Tyre and Sidon, and all the coast of Philistia? Will you... So, brother, what I'm getting out of this in verse 28, is, I never thought about it, but I might be wrong. Verse 28 in Joel chapter 2.
Mm-hmm.
This come to pass afterwards. Before he pour out his spirit upon these servants, which I know are the nations, in verse 29, is this Israel proper here, the rest of the tribes that was over in Europe? This is the one he's going to pour out?
Precisely.
Okay.
Precisely, brother.
Okay.
And not only the rest of the tribes, but on all flesh he's going to pour out his spirit upon all flesh. See, you got to understand what's going to happen. Judah is just, the house of Israel is the one that's going to receive their blessing first.
Okay.
That don't mean that the nations aren't going to receive their blessings also, brother. Because you're going to have some people, remember that great multitude that came through the great tribulation? They had washed their robes in the blood of the Lamb and made them white as snow.
But that was Israel with them, right?
Of course, all nations.
Okay.
You know, in the Christian church, they never read 27 and above. They always start at 28. Until you all in the last days on Christ Spirit. Of course, they think the latter days, the last days, the latter days.
That's because of what Peter
They think it means right now.
That's because of what Peter said. Now, they really didn't understand what Peter was really talking about. Go ahead and read, Steve.
Yes, sir. Verse 4. Joel chapter 3, verse 4. Yea, and what have you to do with me, O Tyre and Sidon, and all the coasts of Philistia? Will you render me a recompense? And if you recompense me, swiftly and speedily will I return your recompense upon your own head, because you have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things. The children also of Yehuda and the children of Jerusalem have you sold unto the Greeks, that you might remove them far from their border. Behold, I will raise them out of the place whither you have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own head. And I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Yehuda, and they shall sell them to the Sabaeans, to a people far off. For Yahweh have spoken.
Right, they ain't gonna like being sold to them Africans, boy. Yeah, they ain't gonna like that at all. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir, verse 9. Proclaim you this among the Europeans. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all you heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Put you in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full, the vats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision. For the day of Yahweh is near in the valley of decision. The sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. Yahweh also shall roar out of Yehuda, and utter his voice from Jerusalem, and the heavens and the earth shall shake, but Yahweh will be the hope of his people, and the strength of the children of Israel.
Amen.
So shall you know that I am Yahweh your Elohim, dwelling in Judah, my holy mountain. Then shall Jerusalem be holy, and there shall no stranger pass through her anymore.
Okay, Revelation 19 and verse 1 through verse 19. Revelation 19, verse 1 through verse 19. There's darkness all over the earth, and the heavens had already rolled back like a scroll and so forth and so on, right? But the Lord hadn't come. So let's pick this up at Revelation 19, verse 1 through verse 19, brother. Let's go. We're going to pick it up just as the heavens open for the Messiah to come. Pick it up at Revelation 19 and 1 through 19.
Yes, sir. And after these things, I heard a great voice of much people in heaven saying...
I think we read that.
Yeah, we did.
I'm sorry. Pick it up at verse 11. I'm sorry, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 11. And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse. And he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his heads were many crowns, and he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of Elohim. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron. And he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of Almighty Elohim. And he had on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of Kings, and Adonai of Adonai. And I saw an angel...
Okay, my brother, I don't think... Yeah, go... verse 19, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, verse 17. And I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, Come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great Elohim, that you may eat the flesh of kings, and the flesh of captains, and the flesh of mighty men, and the flesh of horses, and of them that sat on them, and the flesh of all men, both free and bond, both small and great. And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army.
Okay, my brother, Ezekiel 37 in verse 1 through verse 14. So the Messiah, heaven is open, and the Messiah is coming out this time. Ain't no Satan coming out this time. Satan already been out. Now, the Messiah and the armies, all the armies, the angels in heaven, including the 24 elders, is coming down to this earth here to do battle. Ezekiel 37 and 1 through 14.
Verse 1. The Spirit of Yahweh was upon me, and carried me out in the spirit of Yahweh, and set me down in the midst of the valley, which was full of bones, and caused me to pass by them round about. And behold, there were very many in the open valley, and lo, they were very dry. And he said unto me, Son of man, can these bones live? And I answered, O Adonai Elohim, you know. Again he said unto me, Prophesy upon these bones, and say unto them, O you dry bones, hear the word of Yahweh.
Oh, you dry bones, hear the word of Yahweh. Now remember, the Messiah said there's going to come a time when all that in the grave shall hear the voice of the Son of Man and shall come to life, right? Okay, go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 5. Thus says Adonai Elohim unto these bones, Behold, I will cause breath to enter into you, and you shall live. And I will lay sinews upon you, and will bring up flesh upon you, and cover you with skin, and put breath in you, and you shall live, and you shall know that I am Yahweh. So I prophesied as I was commanded, and as I prophesied, there was a noise, and behold, a shaking, and the bones came together, bone to his bone. And when I beheld, lo, the sinews and the flesh came up upon them, and the skin covered them above, but there was no breath in them. Then said he unto me, Prophesy unto the wind. Prophesy, Son of man, and say to the wind, Thus says Adonai Elohim, Come from the four winds, O breath, and breathe upon these slain, that they may live. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and the breath came into them, and they lived, and stood up upon their feet, an exceeding great army.
So by him prophesying to the wind, and the breath came into him, that shows you the man didn't have no spirit, did he? Didn't he breathe the breath of life in the Adam's nostrils? Huh? These people here stood up on their feet, they prophesied, and they came to life and stood up on their feet, a great, very great army, right? Now, we got to change them, though, from this foul body. Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir, verse 11. Then he said unto me, Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Behold, they say, Our bones are dried, and our hope is lost. We are cut off for our part.
You didn't say these are all the nations, I did. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 12. Therefore prophesy and say unto them, Thus says Adonai Elohim, Behold, O my people, I will open your graves, and cause you to come up out of your graves, and bring you into the land of Israel.
Now he's telling these dead bodies here, I'm going to open your graves and cause you to come up out of your graves, and I'm going to bring you back to the land of Israel, right? It already told us that Yahweh is going to inherit Yehuda, his portion in the Holy Land, right? We going back to the land, but white folks going to heaven. Read, man.
Let's see. Verse 13. And you shall know that I am Yahweh, when I have opened your graves, O my people, and brought you up out of your graves, and shall put my spirit in you, and you shall live, and I shall place you in your own land, then shall you know that I, Yahweh, have spoken it and performed it, says Yahweh.
So once he opened the graves and bring them back up, put breath in them, he's going to put his spirit in them, and they're going to live, correct? Okay. 1 Corinthians 15, and verse 51 through verse 58. Let's go deal with this thing here that Paul talked to these Christian folks and they messed up. Of course. Of course. Man ain't got no spirit. Man never had a spirit. The man got a spirit, and then he got the Holy Ghost, and the spirit came on, then he had two spirits there. Got more spirits than the Messiah had.
That might explain why they do all that jumping in Christian.
Right. A legion. When the unclean spirit is going out of a man, okay. He wanted in desolate places, and he can't find no rest, so what he does is say, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going back to my first house. So he come back and he find that house swept and garnished and so forth, and then he takes 7 more spirits more wicked than himself and go and dwell in that man, and the last estate is worse than the first. 1 Corinthians 15, and pick that up at verse 51, my brother.
How far was I supposed to read?
Through verse 58.
Oh, okay. Verse 51. Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where's your sting? O grave, where's your victory? The sting of death is sin, and the strength of sin is the law. But thanks be to Yah, which giveth us the victory through our Adonai Yeshua HaMashiach. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be you steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Adonai, for as much as you know that your labor is not in vain in the Adonai.
Right. It didn't say always praise him. It said always abounding in the work toward Adonai. Let your work show forth your praises. 1 Thessalonians 4 and verse 13 through verse 18. 1 Thessalonians 4 and verse 13 through verse 18. First Thessalonians chapter 4 and verse 13 through verse 18.
Verse 13. But I would not have you to be ignorant, brethren, concerning them which are asleep, that you sorrow not, even as others which have no hope. For if we believe that Yeshua HaMashiach died and rose again, even so them also which sleep in Yeshua will Elohim bring with him.
Right. He just did. We just read the resurrection of the house of Israel, didn't we? Didn't we? It's to the Jew first. So when the Messiah when the Messiah came below the clouds, what happened? Judah, the house of Israel, rose up to meet him, right? Then the rest of the dead that died in the Lord, they rose up after them, didn't they? Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Joshua came back to earth, right?
Judah. Judah's the majestic white horse he's going to ride in the battle. So it's Judah. Remember, Judah was seer first. Judah's going to be resurrected. Judah's going to raise first. Judah is his king and his battle axe and weapons of war. Okay. Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 15. For this we say unto you by the word of the Adonai, that we which are alive and remain unto the coming of the Adonai shall not prevent them which are asleep.
Mm-hmm.
For Adonai himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of Elohim, and the dead and the anointed one shall rise first.
Not according to these ministers. Not according to these ministers. Soon as you come in, soon as you die, they say you in heaven. And here the dead waiting for him to come. Something wrong with that. Go ahead and read, brother. Right. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 17. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Adonai in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Adonai.
So the Messiah came, the dead in Christ rose first, and then those that were alive, they rising up to meet the Lord in the air, right? Revelation 14 and verse 14 through verse 20. Revelation 14 and verse 14 through verse 20.
My brother, have you ever had the opportunity and took advantage of ministering to one of the Protestant churches, in the Protestant church?
Sure, I used to teach Sabbath Class at
I mean, once you had come into this truth.
shoot, I used to teach Sabbath Class in church. Didn't First day I went to that church packed. Next time I went there, wasn't nobody there but me and Steve. Or me and whoever it was. Me and the minister, rather.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and the folks got up. They sat up there, man. They looked and clapped and everything, boy. And soon as they got out of there, they weren't coming back there no more. You remember, Al? When we went over there on, what was that, on Simpson over there?
Yeah, Reb Church.
Yeah, Reb Church. Yeah, the nigga died too, didn't he? Yeah. Yeah. I told that brother, said, man, you know what you're playing with, man. You better, you don't want to do that. I'm on Tuesday night talking against everything you talking about on Sunday. Tell them anyway. They gotta know it. I just can't do it myself. Right. Next thing you know, that brother was dead. Yeah. All them brothers used to hang around up there at McDonald's, used to listen to that, right? All them brothers died, didn't they? Okay. That's why I stopped hanging around up there, brother. Yeah, that word was killing all them niggas, man. Yeah. Revelation 14, they pick it up at verse 14, my brother.
Yes, sir. And I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and upon the cloud one sat like unto the Son of Man, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, thrust in your sickle and reap, for the time has come for you to reap.
Right. People rising up, meeting the Lord in the air, right? And here come an angel with a sickle, right? He getting ready to do some damage, ain't he? Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 16. And he that sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle in the earth, and the earth was reaped. And another angel came out of the temple which is in heaven, he also having a sharp sickle. And another angel came out from the altar, which had power over fire, and cried with a loud cry to him that had the sharp sickle, saying, thrust in your sharp sickles, and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, for her grapes are fully ripe.
Right. First, he said, thrust in your sickle, and he reaped, right? And who was reaped in? The great multitude that came out of great tribulation. Then another angel came in, and he thrust in his sickle, and he gathered the vine, and cast it where? Into the great wine press of the wrath of God. Go ahead, bro.
Yes, sir. Verse 20. And the winepress was trodden outside the city, and blood came out of the winepress, even unto the horse's bridle, by the space of 20 miles.
By the space of 20 miles. Zechariah 14 and verse 1 through verse 14. Zechariah 14 and verse 1 through verse 14. Zechariah 14 and verse 1 through verse 14.
Verse 1. Behold, the day of Yahweh cometh, and your spoil shall be divided in the midst of you. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished, and half of the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city. Then shall the Adonai go forth and fight against those cities, as when he fought in the day of battle. And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem on the east, and the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof toward the east and toward the west, and there shall be a very great valley, and half of the mountain shall remove toward the north, and half of it toward the south.
Right. Didn't nobody go to heaven? The Lord is coming to the earth. The people rose up to meet him, and they're coming right back down to the earth, right? The Messiah is coming here for a specific reason, and that reason is to spare his remnant. And it's through his remnant. This is why the Messiah said, you don't know what you worship. We know what we worship because salvation is of the Jews. But they're going to tell me, no, it ain't. Salvation is of the Christians, the Muslims, the Hare Krishnas, and everybody else. All of us got a little bit of it. That little bit you got is enough to get you killed. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 5. And you shall flee to the valley of the mountains, for the valley of the mountains shall reach unto Azal. Yea, you shall flee like as you fled from before the earthquake in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah. And Yahweh my Elohim shall come, and all the saints with you. And it shall come to pass in that day that the light shall not be clear nor dark. But it shall be one day which shall be known to Yahweh, nor day nor night. But it shall come to pass that at evening time it shall be light. And it shall be in that day that living waters shall go out from Jerusalem, half of them toward the former sea, and half of them toward the hinder sea. In summer and in winter shall it be. And the Adonai shall be king over all the earth. In that day shall there be one Adonai, and his name one. All the land shall be turned as a plain from Gebar to Rimmon, south of Jerusalem. And it shall be lifted up and inhabited in her place from Benjamin gate unto the place of the first gate, unto the corner of the gate, and from the tower of Hananiel unto the king's wine presses. And men shall dwell in it, and there shall be no more utter destruction. but Jerusalem shall be safely inhabited. And this shall be the plague wherewith Yahweh will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. And it shall come to pass in that day that a great tumult from Yahweh shall be among them, and they shall lay hold every one on the hand of his neighbor, and his hand shall rise up against the hand of his neighbor. And Judah also shall fight at Jerusalem, and the wealth of all the heathen round about shall be gathered together, gold and silver and apparel in great abundance.
Amen. Judah is going to fight at Jerusalem, and the Messiah is coming too. Judah got to secure Jerusalem, and the Messiah is coming to destroy all of the armies. Chapter 9 and verse 10 through verse 17. Chapter 9 and verse 10 through verse 17.
And I will cut off the chariots from Ephraim, and the horse from Jerusalem, and the battle bow shall be cut off, and he shall speak peace unto the heathen, and his dominion shall be from sea even to sea, and from the river even to the ends of the earth.
Right. Didn't say his dominion was going to be in heaven, did it? And everybody going to heaven to be with the Lord, and they're going to reign in heaven, right? This isn't what I read. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir, verse 11. As for you also, by the blood of your covenant, I have sent forth your prisoners out of the pit wherein is no water. Turn you to the stronghold, you prisoners of hope. Even today do I declare that I will render double unto you, when I have bent Judah for me, fill the bow with Ephraim, and raise up your sons, O Judah, against your sons, O Greece, and make you as the sword of a mighty man. And Yahweh shall be seen over them, and his arrow shall go forth as the lightning. And Elohim shall blow the trumpet, and shall go with the whirlwinds of the south.
And when that trumpet blows, Israel that's scattered, they're going to hear that trumpet. They're going to hear that trumpet. This isn't going to be the first trumpet. Remember, when the first trumpet was blown, that's when Judah got out of here. The next trumpet that everybody hears, it'll be the trumpet of the priest will be blowing the trumpet of the assembly for all the people of Israel to come up out of the land. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 15. Yahweh of hosts shall defend them, and they shall devour and subdue with sling stones. And they shall drink and make a noise as through wine. And they shall be filled like bowls, and as the corner of the altar. And Yahweh their Elohim shall save them in that day as the flock of his people. For they shall be as the stones of a crown, lifted up as an ensign upon his land. For how great is his goodness, and how great is his beauty. Corn shall make the young men cheerful, and new wine the maid.
Amen. Revelation 19, verse 20 through chapter 20 and verse 3. Revelation 19 and verse 20 through chapter 20 and verse 3. So we had the what these folks call the rapture. So we had folks rising up to meet the Lord coming back down, the Lord standing on the Mount of Olivet, right? And it told you how he was going to destroy the nations, right? Well, let's pick this up at chapter Revelation 19 and verse 20.
And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worship his image. These both were cast alive into a lake of fire burning with brimstone.
The beast and the false prophet was cast into the lake of fire. We know that the lake of fire is going to be created under Judah's land in the Negev in the south land, right? Because Esau ain't going to need no land because his whole seed is going to be killed off. So that's when the lake of fire is going to be created, and it's going to be two people in that lake of fire. And the next verse will verify that. Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir, verse 21. And the remnant were slain with the sword of him that sat upon the horse, which sword proceeded out of his mouth, and all fowls were filled with their flesh. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled, and after that he must be loosed a little season.
After Messiah's glorious reign on this earth, Satan is going to be loosed out of the bottomless pit. There's 4 seasons in a year, so he's going to be released for 3 months to go forth to earth to gather together his army again for this final push. And this is when the whole earth will become a lake of fire after the Messiah has reigned on here 1,000 years. This is what the reason for the new city Jerusalem and the new heaven and the new earth. You got to have some place to live. Peter told you, say, you know what manner of people you should be, seeing that this earth is going to be burned with fire. Ezekiel 39 and verse 1 through verse 29.
Yeah, but how was I before I was supposed to go in there?
Verse 3.
Just 3, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ezekiel 39 and verse 1 through verse 29. Let's pick up this battle here and deal with that. It said the beast was taken, right? Okay. Let's go and see how he's going to be taken. Ezekiel 39 and pick that up at verse 1 through verse 29, my brother.
Verse 1. Therefore, thou son of man, prophesy against the prince and say, Thus saith Adonai Elohim, Behold, I am against thee, O prince, the chief prince of Moscow and Tubal. And I will turn you back, and leave but the 6th part of you, and will cause you to come up from the north part, and will bring you upon the mountains of Israel. And I will smite your bow out of your left hand, and will cause your arrows to fall out of your right hand. You shall fall upon the mountains of Israel, you and all your bands, and the people that is with you. I will give you unto the ravenous birds of every sort, and to the beasts of the field to be devoured. You shall fall upon the open field, for I have spoken it, says Adonai Elohim. And I will send a fire on the land of Russia, and among them that dwell carelessly in the isles, and they shall know that I am Yahweh. So will I make my holy name known in the midst of my people Israel, and I will not let them pollute my holy name anymore, and the heathen shall know that I am Yahweh, the Holy One in Israel.
Amen.
Behold, it is come and it is done, says Adonai Elohim. This is the day whereof I have spoken. And they that dwell in the cities of Israel shall go forth and shall set on fire and burn the weapons, both the shields and the bucklers, the bows and the arrows, and the handstaves and the spears, and they shall burn them with fire 7 years, so that they shall take no wood out of the field, neither cut down any out of the forest, but they shall burn the weapons with fire, and they shall spoil those that spoil them, and rob those that rob them, saith Adonai Elohim. And it shall come to pass in that day that I will give unto the prince a place thereof graves in Israel, the valley of the passengers on the east of the sea, and it shall stop the noses of the passengers, and there shall they bury the prince and all his multitude, and they shall call it the valley of Hamon God. And 7 months shall the house of Israel be burying of them, that they may cleanse the land. Yea, all the people of the land shall bury them, and it shall be to them a renown the day that I shall be glorified, says Adonai Elohim. And they shall sever out men of continual employment, passing through the land, to bury with the passengers those that remain upon the face of the earth, to cleanse it. After the end of 7 months shall they search. And the passengers that pass through the land, when any seeth a man's bone, then shall he set up a sign by it, to the buriers have buried it in the valley of Hamon God. And also the name of the city shall be called Hamonah. Thus shall they cleanse the land. And thou, son of man, thus saith Adonai Elohim, speak unto every feathered fowl and to every beast of the field, assemble yourselves and come. Gather yourselves on every side to my sacrifice that I do sacrifice for you, even a great sacrifice upon the mountains of Israel, that you may eat flesh and drink blood. You shall eat the flesh of the mighty, and drink the blood of the princes of the earth, of rams, of lambs, and of goats, of bullocks, all of them fatlings of Bashan.
Right, all the armies, right? Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir, verse 19. And you shall eat fat till you be full, and drink blood till you be drunken, of my sacrifice which I have sacrificed for you. Thus you shall be filled at my table with horses and chariots, with mighty men, and with all men of war, says Adonai Elohim. And I will set my glory among the heathen, and all the heathen shall see my judgment that I have executed, and my hand that I have laid upon them. So the house of Israel shall know that I am Yahweh their Elohim from that day and forward.
Amen.
And the heathen shall know that the house of Israel went into captivity for their iniquity, because they trespassed against me. Therefore hid I my face from them, and gave them into the hand of their enemies. So fell they all by the sword. According to their uncleanness and according to their transgressions have I done unto them, and hid my face from them. Therefore thus says Adonai Elohim, now will I bring again the captivity of Jacob, and have mercy upon the whole house of Israel, and will be jealous for my holy name, after that they have borne their shame and all their trespasses, whereby they have trespassed against me, when they dwelt safely in their land, and none made them afraid. When I have brought them again from the people, and gathered them out of their enemies' land, and am sanctified in them in the sight of many nations, then shall they know that I am Yahweh their Elohim, which caused them to be led into captivity among the heathen. But I have gathered them unto their own land, and have left none of them any more there. Neither will I hide my face any more from them, for I have poured out my spirit upon the house of Israel, says Adonai Elohim.
Amen and amen. As we see, brothers and sisters, from the things that we read, Yahweh has given us a very great opportunity. An opportunity to serve his Son in truth and in righteousness here on this earth, that we might receive salvation. Yahweh isn't just going to give you salvation because you think you're a good Joe. You're going to have to work for it. We're going to have to work for it. We're going to have to do the works of the law and the works that the Messiah left here. This is why I'm always talking about you need to get your job and go to work and carry out the master's job. But then, like the prophet said, he that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the church in Holy Convention. That's all I'm going to do on that beast today. But what I want to clear up is this thing about these two olive trees that we read in Revelations 11 in verse 1 through verse 10. Now remember, those two olive trees was there, they were prophesying, and then they were killed, right? Okay, let's go and pick up some things about some olive trees. Let's go into Zechariah 4, and we're going to read verse 1 through verse 6. Zechariah 4, in verse 1 through verse 6. Zechariah chapter 4, in verse 1 through verse 6.
Yes, sir. And the angel that talked with me came again and waked me as a man that is wakened out of his sleep, and said unto me, What do you see? And I said, I have looked, and behold, a candlestick all of gold, with a bowl upon the top of it, and his 7 lamps thereon, and 7 pipes to the 7 lamps, which are upon the top thereof. And 2 olive trees by it, one upon the right side of the bowl, and the other upon the left side thereof.
So these 2 olive trees was back there in Zechariah's time. Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse number 4, I'm sorry. So I answered and spoke to the angel that talked with me, saying, What are these, my Adonai? Then the angel that talked with me answered and said unto me, Do you not know what these be? And I said, No, my Adonai. Then he answered and spoke unto me, saying, This is the word of Yahweh unto Zerubbabel, saying, Not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, says Yahweh of hosts.
Okay, so we see that the 2 olive trees and the other angel was there by the lampstand, right? So that made 3 beings that was there, right? And it said, these are the words to who? Zerubbabel, right? So we know that the 2 olive trees had to go and prophesy to Zerubbabel, because Zerubbabel was going back into the land with Ezra, Nehemiah, and all those people to set up the land, right? Okay, now let's go into chapter 6 and pick up verse 1 to verse 8.
Verse 1 through what, 8?
8.
Okay.
Now remember, we had 4 angels over here, 2 olive trees that stood beside the God of the whole earth, right? One on one side and one on the other side. We had this angel that was talking to him, right? Which is Gabriel, which I believe. Now let's go ahead and read chapter 6. Don't quote me on that. Zechariah chapter 6, verse 1 through verse 8.
And I turned and lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, there came 4 chariots out from between 2 mountains, and the mountains were mountains of brass.
Now we got the other 4 angels, right? Ain't 4 and 3 7? There wasn't the 7 spirits to stand before God? Okay, go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. In the first chariot were red horses, and in the second chariot black horses, and in the third chariot white horses, and in the fourth chariot grizzled and bay horses. Then I answered and said unto the angel that talked with me, What are these, my Adonai? And the angel answered and said unto me, These are the 4 spirits of the heavens, which go forth from standing before the Adonai of all the earth.
It didn't say these are 4 of the spirits of heaven. It said these are the 4 spirits of heaven. The other 3 was already here on the earth. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 6. The black horses which are therein go forth into the north country, and the white go forth after them, and the grizzled go forth toward the south country. And the bay went forth and sought to go that they might walk to and fro through the earth. And he said, Get you hence, walk to and fro through the earth. So they walked to and fro through the earth. Then cried he upon me and spoke unto me, saying, Behold, these that go toward the north country have quieted my spirit in the north country.
Okay. So we understand that the 2 olive trees was 2 angels. We understand that the two angels, you can't kill the spirit. But the body that was made manifest in Revelation 11 chapter laid down on the ground until the spirit said, Come up hither, did it? Okay. Now let's go a little further with this. Let's go into St. Matthew 17 and read verse 1 through verse 3. St. Matthew 17 and verse 1 through verse 3.
Verse 1. And after 6 days, Yeshua HaMashiach took Cephas, James, and Johanan his brother, and brought them up into a high mountain apart, and was transfigured before them, and his face did shine as the sun, and his raiment was white as the light. And behold, there appeared unto them Moshe and Elijah talking with him.
Now, here's Elijah appearing here, right? Now, we know that. Now, we got brothers walking around here saying that the 2 olive trees is Enoch, who was translated, and Elijah, who was translated, right? Okay. Well, here's Elijah right here seen in glory, isn't it? Okay. If Moses and Elijah were seen in their glory, then it's obvious that both were already translated to the realm of the 24 elders who will reign from Mount Zion. But let's verify the translation of the new creature. We did that in 1 Corinthians 15, verse 35 through verse 58, right? Paul told you about death was going to be swallowed up in victory and so forth and so on. Okay, let's go to John 20 and read verse 19 through verse 29. John 20 and verse 19 through verse 29. See, them young brothers like to get up out of here and get on out there. Got milk still dripping all over out of the ears and everything. And they want to tell everybody who these people here are. See, right. John chapter 20 and read verse 19 through verse 29.
Yes, sir. Then the same day at evening, being the first day of the week, when the doors were shut, where the disciples were assembled for fear of the Jews, came Yeshua and stood in the midst and said unto them, Peace be unto you. And when he had so said, he showed unto them his hands and his side. Then were the disciples glad when they saw the Adonai.
He said, See, it's me. Right? Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 21. Then said Yeshua to them again, Peace be unto you. As my Father hath sent me, even so send I you. And when he had said this, he breathed on them and saith unto them, Receive you the Holy Ghost.
At Pentecost now. You ain't going to get it now, but you're going to receive it at Pentecost. Go ahead, brother.
Whosoever sins you remit, they are remitted unto them, and whosoever sins you retain, they are retained. Verse 24. But Thomas, one of the 12, called Didymus, was not with them when Yeshua came. The other disciples therefore said unto him, We have seen the Adonai. But Didymus said unto them, Except I shall see in his hands the print of the nails, and put my fingers into the print of the nails, and thrust my hand into his side, I will not believe. And after 8 days again his disciples were within, and Didymus with them. Then came Yeshua, the doors being shut, and stood in the midst, and said, Peace be unto you. Then says Yeshua to Didymus, Reach hither your finger, and behold my hand. And reach hither your hand, and thrust it into my side, and be not faithless, but believing. And Didymus answered and said unto him, My Adonai, and my Elohim.
Right, after I unfelt you and everything, remember he told his apostles, say, look, spirits do not have flesh and bones that you see me have. This is what I was telling you about, right? The regeneration of man. Adam, the first man, Adam, was supposed to live forever. Now, but he was a living soul. So the last man, Adam, was made what? The firstborn among many brethren, a brand new creation. And when we read Ezekiel 37 chapter, that was the same type body he had. The body had everything in it but blood. Go ahead and read it, brother.
Yes, sir. Last verse 29. Yeshua says unto him, Didymus, because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are they that have not seen, and yet have believed.
Amen and amen. I rest my case. That's all I'm going to do today. And may y'all have mercy.